Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Back by popular demand, Egal versus Jords. This time, we got to talk about their manager. Spurs win a trophy for the first time in damn near, what is it, 2 decades? 3 decades almost? And you guys,
17 years, nearly 2 decades, definitely not nearly 3.
all right. Maybe I'm pushing it. So 2 decades. But then what happens? You go and decide you're not going to give him a third year. You're going to end up sacking the manager. Now, George, is this a right decision? Imagine he is sacked because it's not official yet. But imagine Ange Postecoglou is sacked. Are you upset? Are the Tottenham fan base upset? And overall, what's the feeling? Is it like it's a good idea? Is it a good move? What do you say?
Well, unlike Arsenal, we aren't Netflix FC. We're not on the, Ange jumping on the mic. Season 3 is always better than season 2. Like, it sounded nice in the moment. But some people seem to forget the main characters die in season 2 to make season 3 a little bit spicier. So, in the event for this one, I just think that this is the right move. If we decide to go ahead and sack Ange, ultimately we've won a trophy. He's done something that no manager's been able to do in a long time for Tottenham, and he's achieved some success. But what we have seen has been a continuous pattern for Tottenham is the last 2 times we won trophies, those managers also finished in the bottom half of the table and also both got sacked the preceding year after being given 6 months or a year's time to try and put the team together. So statistics show you that having a manager finish in the bottom half of the table, win a trophy for Tottenham, doesn't actually mean that he's going to be a sustained long-term success. So at this point, I think Spurs are trying to, learn from their past mistakes, but also not be in a position like your team where you're stuck with a manager and you just want to go, next year is going to get better.
Hey, we're not stuck with the manager. We got one of the best managers in Europe.
I mean, with the sense that you always think it's going to get better when it doesn't. I'd rather just, you know what? Even if it might get better next year, let's not take the risk. Go out there, bring in a manager that you know can guarantee.
Hey, all I gotta say is, if Spurs had a better season, would they really be sacking their manager?
It's standards. We have standards. Do you know what it is? What people don't realize, Egal, yeah? On the white side of North London, the right side, we have standards for our club. Our standards are at a certain level. We don't accept mediocrity. And that's why across the last 20 years, just like Chelsea, you've seen Tottenham we've sacked plenty of managers. We've both had about 15 managers because we have standards and we continuously sack managers. Arsenal, on the other hand, don't go out there and sack managers. Your model has been to put faith in the manager and see what they do. Arsene Wenger was failing for years before he got sacked. And same with Arteta. He's been failing year after year. And
but you can't compare yourself to Chelsea. You're more like Manchester United.
I didn't compare ourselves to them. I just compared the fact that we've gone through a lot of managers and we've had standards.
But there's people who go through a lot of managers and win things because the people behind the scenes are running the club well. And there's people who go through a lot of managers and don't win things because they don't know what the hell they're doing. And I think Tottenham's been more of the latter. So right now, I do think it is the right decision to sack Ange. As much as I'm going to banter Ange, I would love him to stay because I think his chaotic defensive football is not going to get any better next season regardless. And I do think, similar to Arteta, his training methods or his style of play is leading to more injuries. So that needs to be tweaked regardless of what happens. The next person who comes in is going to have to be a little bit more like Arne Slot, where he managed the injuries better than Klopp did the year prior. But hey, if Tottenham do get rid of Ange, I think that's the right decision, don't you?
Yeah, no doubt in it. Look, you've got to look at it like this. As much as I do think we've had a more successful season than you, we haven't had a better league season. And the league season is where you actually measure how good a manager is. Like, that's for me personally. I wouldn't measure how good Ange is based off of his trophy win. I can measure Tottenham's season on that because we're a club. We're measured on trophies. But a manager, you measure on games, performances, and results. His results haven't been good enough. The performances haven't been good enough. And ultimately, 22 defeats in the Premier League is as damning as it is. He is statistically got the highest loss percentage in a season for Spurs ever, losing double the amount of games that we've won. So when you look at it like that, Ange has to be sacked. Now, when you look onwards from him and say, which other managers do we bring in? That's where the bigger question is, because Spurs need to ensure if we're sacking Ange, we're bringing in a manager that's much better than Ange.
Let me stop you right there. Marco Silva and what do you call it? Who's the other guy?
Thomas
Frank. The Brentford manager.
Thomas Frank.
Thomas Frank, Marco Silva. Those are the names I'm hearing. You don't like either?
Not a big fan of either. I'm not gonna lie. Marco Silva was one that I was in the season. I was looking at. I was like, I'm interested in Marco and Iraola. I was interested in them. You know, you start to watch them a bit more, start to pay a bit more attention on Fulham and Bournemouth on that side of things. And to be honest, as the season went on, you started to see both of their teams trail out, not be that good against the mid-level sides. Both of them have good performance, and all three of these managers, Iraola, Frank, and Silva, have good performances against the top teams. In particular, Arsenal, Liverpool, City, and Tottenham. They have good performances, but it's in the mid-level games and the lower teams where they flop, and that's where my biggest problem is. For Tottenham, we haven't had a huge issue against the big clubs this season. It's been against the smaller teams that we can't win, we can't get over the line. So looking at these managers, Iraola worries me with his injury record. He played just 2 competitions last season, or 3, sorry, and his injury record is nearly as bad as Tottenham and Arsenal's, who played 4 or 5 competitions at one point.
No, but we were the worst in the league. You can't compare.
No, I know, but I can't. Egal, you want to do the can't compare. Look at the numbers. Yes, we can compare. Tottenham can compare. Bournemouth can compare.
We've had 27 injuries, bro.
Yes, and everyone else had around 23, 24. So if you're saying 3 injuries is the much bigger difference, then wow, you're going to do it like that. I know Tottenham had 23 injuries. You can check it. So Bournemouth had a lot of injuries and they weren't playing nearly as many competitions. So that worries me that if he plays more competitions, his football's not sustainable. Marco Silva has been up and down throughout his years. Now, I like the fact that Marco Silva has gone to Everton, failed, had a good year at Watford. Like, he's been around the Premier League and had some years. So if there was any of the 3 to look at and choose, I'd say Marco Silva. But Thomas Frank, I respect Thomas Frank. I think he's a good manager. I think he's done good for Brentford, but I don't think he's overachieved at Brentford. And that's my problem with him. I don't think he's overachieved enough for a manager at his level. Yes, they've lost a lot of players. They lost.
Bro, the Bournemouth manager had the second least injuries in the league.
The second least injuries. At what number?
9.
Nah, he definitely. If he had 9 injuries, I'm lying, because I saw that they had about 9 injuries at one point.
They must have had those 9 injuries.
Unless they had all of them at one point, but I know they had.
Let me. Sorry to throw you off, but let me bring up the actual image so people can see what we're looking at. This season. Arsenal had the most injuries. Tottenham had 22. You're correct. You weren't that far off. But Bournemouth are all the way down here.
Okay, so if I'm wrong about Bournemouth, I know Bournemouth had.
And isn't that crazy? West Ham had the least injuries, and they had like a terrible season too.
Yeah. So Bournemouth's injuries all came at one point then. So when they got injured, they must have had all their players out, because they had one point, they had 6 first-teamers missing. And I was like, rah, this is not good. I don't like these little injury problems that they're having. And I was hearing they're missing players and so on. So look, ultimately, what I was going on to was they've had a few injury issues. I don't want a manager that's going to play a style of football that's going to cause us to have more injuries. And also, when I look at Thomas Frank, tactically good manager, adaptably, he's an adaptable manager. He's better than Ange in that sense. But I don't think we've ever seen him win a trophy or do something that's like, wow, let's take focus. He's never done something that's like a wow moment in the Premier League for me.
You know, just looking at it right now, I do think Tottenham are still going to be speaking to people from abroad. And I don't think Thomas Frank and Marco Silva are going to be the out-and-out favorites. They always do this. They always throw out names at the beginning of a managerial search. And next thing you know, the club has spoken to like 4 or 5 people behind the scenes nobody even knows about. And on the announcement day, it's just somebody random. Like, did we even have a hint Arne Slot was going to be Liverpool's manager when he became their manager? No, we didn't. So we're going to have to wait and see where you guys go from here. But I'm looking at your channel, Jords, and I'm seeing you're talking about Eze. You're talking about, what do you call it, Xavi Simons. Do you think these guys are looking at Spurs saying to themselves, that's where I want to be?
I think a lot of these players are going to have options ultimately. And as a Champions League level club, we will be a preferred option to many. Now, if we are competing with other Champions League level clubs, then it's always about the money, what's offered on the table. There's no doubt about it. I'm not going to elude myself to think like we just saw yesterday, and Mbeumo's decided to choose United over Tottenham, Arsenal, Newcastle, and some other clubs. But let's be honest, we all know that's money. We all know that he knows he can go to Man United, demand a big fee because he's going to be one of the biggest players there. So he's going to get around 200 to 300k a week. Tottenham and Arsenal probably won't be silly enough to offer him that money as of yet, even though he's a very good player. So I think one of the biggest things for Tottenham to try and attract to Xavi Simons, to try and attract as Eze, because the biggest thing for me is we need a creator, someone that's a maverick in the midfield. So that's why we looked at Simons, Cherky, and Eze in my Tottenham transfer news video. And both of those players, I think, would be interested in a move to Tottenham. I think the question is just whether will Tottenham want to be ambitious and actually pay them what they want. And that's where my question is. Will Tottenham want to pay big wages, or are they going to let Eze get attracted away by a Bayern or another club that are going to offer him the money he wants? So Spurs can definitely get these players, and these players will come to Spurs because we are a big club. We're in London. We're playing Champions League football. Like, there's no reason as to why
Do you want Leroy Sane?
Yes. I'm glad you mentioned that name because I saw Arsenal in for him, and I can't even lie. That hurt me. It hurt me because I was thinking this is actually a serious player. A lot of people are trying to rub him out without knowing. Leroy Sane's best goal scoring year was last year in the Bundesliga for Bayern in five seasons.
He's 29.
He's 29. Doesn't matter about the age. We need proven experience. Spurs have too many 21, 22-year-olds. We need players that have won trophies, been there, done it, final third, explosiveness, and actually putting the ball in the back of the net. That's something that he doesn't. I'm not going to lie. I feel like both of our teams could do with him. So whichever club he chooses would be, for one, it's because he'll choose the clubs that's going to pay him the most money between Tottenham.
The conversation right now is Saudi Arabian clubs are interested in him, and the two clubs in London.
And he wants to stay close to family, is what I've seen. Yeah. And apparently, the two London clubs in Tottenham and Arsenal are heavily linked to him, and he's interested in coming to both clubs. They would both be good moves for him. But the biggest thing for Leroy Sane,
but he also could be using us to renew his deal at Bayern.
I've saw that he's not interested in doing that. From what I've seen in it, I can only go off what Florian Plettenberg and CF Bayern and so on, these places have tweeted out. But one of the biggest things as to why both of us are interested in him is because he's versatile off the left and right. If you look at last season on Transfer Market, he played exactly identical numbers. I think it was 20 appearances off the left, 24 appearances off the right. He's literally versatile for both wings. So
he's like a better version of Trossard for me.
That's way better than Trossard. He's not even nowhere near Trossard.
But you know something? Within my fan base, they see Leroy Sane, and first thing they think of, Raheem Sterling 2.0.
Okay, man. Going mad. They're nothing alike. Even when you remember them playing at City, they're nothing alike playing styles. Sane's a winger who gets on the ball, runs at his man. And to be honest, when you talk about like Leroy, he would walk into Arsenal's team in a heartbeat over Martinelli. Not over Saka, of course, but over Martinelli. He would be on that left-hand side, and then you'd have a very stellar attack. Just like for Tottenham, he could slot in at the left or go in on the right side. He can choose his side on Tottenham. I'm not going to lie. We've not got a winger near his level. So for me, I'm more than...
So should I be excited about Leroy Sane? I was looking at Rodrigo. I was looking at Nico Williams, and I end up with Leroy Sane. I'm looking at this like, yo, it's very underwhelming.
But that's if your club only gets Leroy Sane, because you guys are in a space where you need to sign... not proven quality. I wouldn't say you need experience per se. You need game winners changers and stars and game changers. That's it. So you need players to come in and lift your team's floor. I don't know if Sane comes in and lifts the floor massively for you guys. For us, he does. But for you guys, I think he comes in, and the biggest thing is he's for free, Egal. So what this should mean is it shouldn't impact any of the other business you're doing. Sane should be coming in on top of any other deals you're doing. And that's where the problem for Arsenal will be, is if you guys try to bring in Sane and not sign another forward player, mine's gone. And that's where I'd understand is I don't want Sane if I was you. But if it's get Sane on top of the deals you're getting, it's no question, no brainer.
Hey, if we want him, we're probably going to get him. But at this moment in time, it's between Saudi and our two clubs. I think you're probably at the bottom of the pecking order.
You think that, but I saw some things. I saw Sane, he was having little conversations with Sonny, having conversations with Madders on the pitch, arm around the shoulders. Them look rather comfy. And also, he's going to want to see silverware. He ain't seeing that over on the red side of North London. Let's have it right, man. Let's have it right.
He's used to challenging for league titles. He's not seeing that at Tottenham.
Who knows? Next season, who knows? I'm not saying we will. But with the right signings and Sane coming in, Sane could lead the team to do that. So it's all the opportunity for him to prove the level of what he is.
We'll see. We'll see. So I like this. We went a little bit from Ange. We went to transfers. We're gonna have to do this a little bit more often. But Jords, you're a busy man, guys. Go check out Durag Diaries. He's doing his thing over there. Where you? What are you at right now?
2.158. See,
Hey,
know
I
the
was about to
exact
say
number 'cause
5K, guys. Let's get him to 5K.
no, I am on the road to 5K. Exactly that. Do you know what it is? I've been putting in the work. I'm in the studio. I'm doing uploads. There's content coming every day. Probably 2 videos a day. Like I said, I'm consistent right now. I'm working hard. So your support will be much appreciated for real.
There you go. Guys, you guys already know what it is. The support on the channel has been crazy. Do me a favor, guys. If you guys can go check out George's video, and if he's talking too slow, just put it at 2.5 speed. There you go. Anyways, we're out of here, people. Catch you guys in the next one. Peace.